Another person you'll read about is Ward Mannering. Ward is also a very interesting individual who spent much of his life serving our government. He was in the federal market, actually worked for the CIA, and as he left in his position at the CIA, he was quickly able to gather a lot of the expertise he learned in human resources and in policy and procedures and all the institutional knowledge he had, and become a consultant for many other firms that do business with the federal government as well as federal agencies themselves. Ward has a really great set of stories if you ever could get to meet him and talk to him, which I had the pleasure of doing this week. He likes to golf. He likes to take Mondays and Fridays off and have an extended vacation, and then he works pretty hard during the week. He stays engaged. He has a great network. He keeps his network fresh, and he's a great success story for an independent consultant. Finally, we want to leave you with a little quiz. If you are either currently a consultant and want to see how good of a consultant you are, or more importantly, you're someone that is deciding whether you can become an independent consultant, or do you have what it takes to be an independent consultant. I will want to say that this is not for everybody, but as Steve said, the baby boomers are a take charge generation, so they are primed for this. We have a little quiz that you could go to our site and also take. In fact, everybody that registered for this webinar, you'll get an email with the copy of these slides, and you'll get a link to this little quiz. You answer these questions, and it'll give you a score as to how ready you are to go solo.
And I just want to add, I took the quiz yesterday, and I was pleased to see that I am ready to go solo, which is good because I've been doing it for 10 years. And so as I was taking the quiz, I was a little nervous. If I didn't pass, I was going to be a little nervous about my future. But it's well worth taking. It's entertaining, but it also sort of gets at the key issues around your personality and your background to help you understand whether or not the solo career will be good for you.
Well, thanks, Steve. So let's see if there are any questions that the audience has. I'm going to take a look here, and I don't see any questions at the moment or any hands raised. So I'm going to wait a minute or two. Steve, do you have any questions about what I talked about?
I was really fascinated by this concept of the shift from financial capital to intellectual and social capital, and what that means. And when you look across sort of your consultants, the independent, your associates, what are the key social and intellectual capital things that they have, and how have they been able to leverage them?
Well, at these points in their career, they tend to have a very rich Rolodex of relationships, whether they've been with usually have been with several companies throughout their career, and they've also are pretty senior level people that take this first step out, and they've already got their LinkedIn profile set up, and they've got a strong network, and they pretty much knew what they were going to do when they were ready to take the leap. So they knew how to leverage their social network for the most part. Some, are at a point where, gee, I guess I need to polish up my LinkedIn, and I need to go to some networking events, and they have a little slower start. But certainly the ones that are most successful have worked on that social network prior to their retirement. As far as the intellectual capital, it's all over the map. There's a lot of technology people, there's a lot of management consultants, a lot of project managers, engineers, supply chain specialists, trainers, there's even mentors. So it's pretty much all over, a lot of creative people.
Let me jump in with one more. We're getting some coming in, but with one more, I'd like to know, based on what you've seen, when someone new comes to you and they've just taken the plunge and they're starting, what do you see as their greatest weakness relative to their ability to be successful as an independent?
Well, it's usually they're really good at what they know how to do, and they're experts. They got the experience in their subject matter expertise, and they've got a good network, but they usually are concerned about, well, how do I get started? How do I navigate this, business relationship? What are my responsibilities from taxes? Do I need to incorporate? How do I get my billing? How do I deal with my cash flow? How do I know what to charge? How do all these issues? And obviously, that's where MBO comes in, and that's where we really take that role and that anxiety, and we really lower the bar to have people jump into their own business. But that is a big point of frustration for a lot of people in terms of, I know I want to do this, but I'm not sure how. And it's pretty hard for a one or two person or small business to try to do business with any large organization. These most large organizations have a pretty high threshold for having someone be a qualified service provider of theirs, and it's very difficult for a new small business to try to qualify as a vendor or supplier directly with any large organization, including the federal government. It could take months.
Oh, we've tried to work with the federal government and gave up.
Yeah, and some organizations are actually worse than the federal government. So, Steve, there's a couple of questions here. Let's see. We've got where should I look for my first project if I am a boomer trying to cash in? Can we not use the monster.com? Okay. So where can you find your first project? I would say it's probably your former employer or one of your former employers who you can go to, and you should line it up ahead of time before you go out on your own. Obviously, you got to go out and market yourself, talk to people ahead of time, let them know what you're trying to do. And you'll be surprised. There's lots of opportunity. Most of our successful consultants don't have an issue with finding that next project. Sometimes they have an issue of knowing which one to take. Next question is regarding the financial capital you mentioned, that it doesn't take much to start an independent. Have you heard any average dollar estimate needed to start up as an independent? Steve, I think you've got some.
Well, we found that on average to start up as an independent, and these are startup costs. A lot of the people are telling us sort of $5,000 to $10,000, and when we've looked across our survey data, we come into that level of numbers. Then you have the ongoing costs of running your business. You do have issues around taxes and other services that help you do your business. But the startup costs are quite low because to start as an independent, you'll likely work out of your house. You'll likely take advantage of the computer equipment that you already have, the internet access that you already have. And so getting started's gotten pretty easy and pretty inexpensive. And that's a big difference than 15 or 20 years ago. When we first went out, one of the things I had to consider was, should I have an office? Should I go out and buy an expensive set of computer equipment? Did I need a network? All of these things that just aren't needed anymore. So we really have shifted from financial capital to other types of capital as the key driver for independent workers.
Yeah, and there's another comment here that it's not a question, it's a comment, but it's a great comment, that many boomers are getting a pension, and this is extra money and takes a bit of the pressure off, so you could go out and take that risk. And that's a really interesting point, for certainly people coming out of the industries that still have pensions. Mm-hmm. That's a great way to carry you through this period of startup.
Yeah, I think that's really true. If you're lucky enough as a boomer to have a pension, it still may not be as much as you want, certainly, but it does give you a lot more flexibility. One of the folks that we work with used to be the chief scientist at Procter & Gamble, and he was at P&G for 30 years and was an executive. So his pension, I don't know the specifics, but I'm sure his pension's quite good. But he often comments that it's nice to have the extra money also coming in even at his level of pension. So
sure.
Absolutely, and it does give you a lot more freedom and flexibility. And again, going back to what we hear, freedom and flexibility, the advantages of a pension are enormous in terms of those attributes.
Well, great. Well, listen, Steve, I want to thank you for helping us out today and sharing this great research data and proving that, the baby boom generation continues to break new boundaries and create new opportunities and take charge of themselves and actually create a lot of value. And I think with our current job market and the need for new jobs, this could be a real boom, no pun intended, to our economy. So I want to thank you very much, Steve, for helping us out today, and thank everybody on the call.
Thank you.
Do you have
Thank
any,
you.
closing remarks?
Thank you. Yeah, just that remember, boomers, we've always been doers, and we're going to continue to be doers no matter what our age, and part of doing is being active, pursuing our passions, and staying engaged and working independently fits that doer attitude that we have.
Absolutely. And again, just in summary, if anybody wants to get put onto our mail list or stay in touch with us on these webinars, which are always very interesting, email us or visit our website, follow us on Twitter, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks very much, everyone.